Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Giorgio Prister. I'm leading an organization called Major Cities of Europe, who is made of cities that are looking for innovation. So this is why we are also here. And now maybe you can hear me, right? So I should slow down. And so I'm very pleased to introduce this session. For your information, we want to make sure that all you have the chance to ask questions or to evaluate the speakers or whatever you want to say. So at the end, during the session, you will have access to ask and vote from your smartphone, and through that you can ask questions, or you can rate questions, and so on. So as the time is running very fast, I would prefer to start. And as you can see, we are missing one speaker. I hope he will arrive. He was supposed to be the first speaker, but we are pleased to have the first speaker anyway. Please, Enrique. So we have here cities like very different countries. Los Angeles, Hamburg, from China, from Leon in Mexico. I was confused, by the way. I searched Leon in Spain at the beginning, and I said, where is he coming from? Leon in Mexico. So please, if you want, Enrique, you can start. Your presentation is here.
Oh, okay. So do we go up there?
Yeah. You can push on, where is it? Here. No, you are Michael, right? Sorry.
Well, Enrique can start if you want.
No, it's the same. Michael. Sorry.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Miguel Sanglang. I'm the Executive Officer for the Mayor's Office of Budget Innovation in Los Angeles. Just a couple things about me before we get started. Since I am from LA, I clearly like walking on the beach, so this is a fantastic venue for that. And also my favorite movie is Jurassic Park, so if anyone's interested, we can talk about that afterwards too. Just a little bit about Los Angeles to start off, to give you a little bit of context. We are a city of about 4 million people in 472 square miles. I'm not exactly certain of the metrics conversion for that, but we have a city of 4 million people, a metro region of about 18 million. And what we've been trying to work on, especially with what we have in Los Angeles, which is a very, very vibrant kind of technology culture that has been able to have nearly $3 billion in funding, and very large technology companies such as Snapchat, Factual, and The Honest Company for startups that are based in Los Angeles. One thing that we've been doing as a municipality, though, is really start up itself as a kind of an open data and data sharing center. This might be a little bit of a shock, but we're relatively new to the game. We only just recently launched our open data platform in, I believe, May of 2014. And so, compared to other cities like New York, like Boston, we're slow to the game, but that means that we've been able to take a lot of their experiences and add it to our own and hopefully accelerate ours. We went from being not even on the open data census to number 3 recently last year, and then number 1 now. So I think we've been making strides, and from open data, we're really looking towards geographic information with our new launch of the Geo Hub, which is trying to get different departments within the city to talk to each other and share information across the departmental so that they can do their business in a much more effective way. I'm going to now kind of shift over a little bit and fast forward. So our original concept when we started off was really data, open data for transparency and just general kind of engagement. That took a lot of effort in that it required us, the organization, to really build up that momentum. And the city itself is not necessarily that good for creating that. We're good at creating the platform, not exceptional at creating the specific kind of environments for it. But what we have been doing is engaging the private companies that are around there and really using our information as the system of record to help impact organizations that are already impacting LA. one of the partnerships that we just recently created was Google Waze data sharing agreement, where there are left turns in Los Angeles where once we have started sharing our information, they actually avoid those so that there's less traffic collisions, that there's less incidents of traffic incidents throughout the city. We've also given every single Uber or Lyft driver access to our own 311 apps, which then gives us kind of this two-way communication between our drivers, people that they're driving around Los Angeles, which is, if you're familiar with LA, there's traffic all over the place, so it's probably good to take public transportation or Uber or Waze, and gives us that two-way loop of information. We've taken that base, that service, and really started the dialogue to evolve it to more of a platform at that point, where we've included Uber, Lyft, every single data source from Google that you could imagine, to try and make it so that people are going through at Los Angeles in a way that they can do it in three different ways. One is the most economical way, so the cheapest way for them to do it. Two, the most environmentally friendly, so really looking at their carbon footprint. And then three, just time, right, where people are trying to find the fastest route to their city. Now I actually want to jump to an earlier part of my presentation, which is, this is kind of like the end pipe of what we're talking about in Los Angeles, where our services are being impacted. But one of the more interesting things that we're doing is actually working with a lot of the universities within our local region to try and make it so that they're engaged with us in bettering the downstream products and services that we're creating, and engaging with us at a much earlier time. So most recently, what we've been focused on is creating university partnerships, and recently penned into an agreement with every single major research institution in the Los Angeles area, a data sharing agreement and collaborative that allows them access to everything we have, and allows us the space to collaborate on very specific issues, such as traffic, such as homelessness, such as crime and gun violence. We also recently penned an agreement that is called CENIC, but that stands for the California Educational Network for Initiatives. And what that does is allow every single university direct access to our information on a high-speed broadband, so that they could actually look at it in a much faster, and once we get more sophisticated with all the Internet of Things and real-time information that is being generated by our city departments, access to that very, very valuable information. And so, now we have about 11 different university partners that are, like I said, working on initiatives such as crime, traffic, gun violence specifically, and we're hoping that ultimately then impacts the later downstream kind of products, such as one of the initiatives that we're trying to do right now, which is Vision Zero, reducing the impact or reducing the incidence of traffic, either fatalities or injuries throughout Los Angeles. And surprisingly, from a network as large as Los Angeles Road Network, which is about 6,500 miles of roads itself, only about 6% of our streets are the ones that are what we call the higher injury network. So working with our partners in either design, engineering design, or traffic safety, we're able to then hopefully reduce that in the future. I think one thing we're absolutely proud of is our engagement with our design thinking institutions. We have something called the Pasadena Arts Institute, and if you know them, they've actually been quite engaged and are engaged with design for very large car companies like Toyota and such. But through our partnerships with them, using our information and their design thinking, we've actually been able to change how we interact with our constituencies and the people in Los Angeles, changing it from what used to be siloed department approaches, like different counters at different stations and throughout the city to one holistic portal that people then approach what they're trying to accomplish within the business realm, but through that holistic kind of from cradle to successful business, to the end of the business, to the growth of your business portal as well. And then finally, the one thing that I did want to point out is we've used all that information from our different customer relationship management systems and ways that the city interacts with regards to housing to develop targeted resources for rent stabilization, which is a really big thing in Los Angeles. Housing is a huge issue where people are getting displaced. And so one of the things that we've been focusing on is how do we limit that displacement, and how do we actually create inclusive growth using the information that our departments of record have, which is all of the incidents, calls, complaints, and then all the information that other agencies create, which is the census for us with demographic information, and then finally our community partners outside, such as the Los Angeles, Koreatown Center that gives us the more qualitative information that they share with us. So, in total, I think a lot of the things that we've been working on, starting from a very young kind of first level open data to the more engaged large corporate sense, and then finally the educational institutions, the trajectory that we're trying to do. Thanks a lot.
If you have questions, don't hesitate to write down on your smartphone in the Ask session so that we can get them at the end. Now, Enrique, it's your turn. So we are going a little bit south. Oh, please. A little bit more south, and another large city, Leon from Mexico. Please, the floor is yours. Is it? Yeah, it's yours. So it's a different perspective on how to manage human relationship in Leon, right?
That's right. Thank you very much, Giorgio. Well, I'm really pleased to be here and to share with you some ideas that we've been running in the city of Leon in Mexico. Well, a little bit about where are we? Where Mexico, of course, is part of the North America as well as Canada, US, and of course Mexico. We are in the very center of the country, Guanajuato. And of course, Guanajuato, our state, well, it's got a population of about around 6 million people. We've got 2 World Human Heritage cities, which are San Miguel and Guanajuato. And we've got, of course, an economical boom. We are growing more than twice the average income in Mexico. So that's because we've got 4 major clusters, which are the chemical one, the automotive, agroalimentary, and fashion, shoes and textiles. And a little bit about, Leon. Of course, we've got, it's the 4th largest city in Mexico. It's about 1.6 million. And the economy we've got there is tourism, footwear, tannery, and services. We've got $11 billion GDP. But we've got a huge contrast there. We've got at least 1/3 of the population are living with any degree of poverty. And they are divided mostly in 8 polygons of poverty. At least 1/10 of this population is living in extreme poverty. And that's something typical in most Latin American cities. And all the authorities, all the businessmen, we should be really embarrassed about. We should feel embarrassed about this. But we've got a plan. from the periphery to the center. Our mayor, Héctor López Santillana, one of the responsible guys for of the economical boom we are living in Guanajuato, our mayor, he's got a story, and the bottom line of this story is that the difference between the Homo sapiens and the, I don't know if that would be a proper word to say, the monkeys, it's only about 1.4% of the DNA. And that means that we have to focus our resources, our time, our efforts in these 6 priority areas of attention. We are talking about 12 rural development poles, 8 polygons of poverty, security zones, irregular zones, economic zones, and emblematic zones. So that we have, we can see here it's a map about the 8 polygons of poverty. So we are focusing on all the programs, all the actions in this. Maybe like 80% of all our efforts are driven here. Well, another good news is that this administration, this municipality has taken the decision of developing an innovation ministry. And in this innovation ministry that was actually, it was created last week. So we've got, it's pretty new. We've got 3 main areas of attention. We are creating a Lab Leon. It's a city laboratorium, a city living lab. We've got a master plan for a smart human municipality. And we are going to talk about that in a video that we are running at the end of the presentation. And of course, all the programs for measuring the competitiveness and all the international affairs about international cooperation programs with all another cities around the world. Well, the Lab Leon, we are creating digital jobs for vulnerable persons, people, social entrepreneurship, citizen challenges, such as these ones that Miguel has just talked about before. We've got security issues, mobility, traffic, and many challenges that we want to empower the society with this. And of course, think tanks with the specialists. About our master plan, we've got 30 projects, and they have been prioritized by 2 factors. Of course, the social impact and the liability. And these are some of the projects that we are running. We are having we are working on a smart urban lighting plan, and this is a huge program that we are pretty sure that we can transform the way in our city live. And well, smart steps that we are having a program with Telefónica. They are major players in this initiative. Leon Smart Guide. Yes, thank you. Synchronicity. This is a project that we are running with another major cities around the world. Well, and we've got to know that if these projects are not impacting in the quality of life of the people of this society, we are not accomplishing our goal. So that's something we should take about innovation. So how can we collaborate? I'm running here a video about So there is a sound. Can we have a sound there, please? Un poco de música. Well, I don't know what happened there. If somebody can help me there, please. Okay. Already. Thank you. Well, that was it. Thank you very much.
Now we come back to Europe now. It's a time for you, Dirk. We are going to talk now about culture, e-culture, and a very interesting initiative which is coming from the city of Hamburg, the city-state of Hamburg, from the Minister of Culture, where Dirk is leading a group of people. And I think it will interest everybody, not only in Europe. Please, Dirk.
Oh, now I also need help.
Did you push there? Yeah, it's coming.
Fine, it's coming. It's done remote, so I can't do anything about it. Okay, thank you very much. So, also, welcome from my side. Dirk Petrat, my name, coming from Hamburg. Also, to know what Hamburg is. What is Hamburg? Hamburg is the second largest city of Germany, so hopefully known everywhere. And I'm from the Department of Culture, and that's the reason why I'm now talking of culture. The use of digital media in the cultural sector, entered as e-culture, is still not common and not usual in smart city concepts. We have seen it now here in the city of Leon. You can see it in other cities. Culture is normally not really involved in smart city concepts. What we believe this also technology will also change the cultural sector. The only questions remaining are concerning speed and its conceptual direction and structure. Social media and the possibility of digital participation lead to a change of the function and the relevance of government-funded cultural institutions that traditionally distinguish between visitors and full-time experts in cultural institutions. In addition, in the future, many people will be just punctual cultural experts while the citizen with rather widely educated cultural knowledge will more and more disappear. The question on how we will, or rather have to offer culture in a digital format will therefore be a central task of cultural policy. We in Hamburg, so the government in Hamburg has clearly defined the political objective within the context of the city's IT strategy. All citizens are to have digital access to our city's cultural heritage. The e-culture agenda of the Ministry of Culture is the response to this government strategy, and its aim is to provide all citizens digital access to cultural content. And so the ministry is developing digital resources to enter, supporting digital resources in cultural institutions to allow them to enter the digital world. We network organizations, and that has led now to a number of more than 60 projects. And the special feature of the strategy is that we integrate all different kinds of cultural activities. They relate not only to museums and theaters, which is normally very well known, but also to the music sector, to urban heritage protection libraries, state archives, and the creative industries. Other than the mentioned political mandate and the Ministry of Culture's strategic approach, now the question arises how the concrete implementation should look like. We and how cultural projects should be designed. For providing digital access to culture, we aim in Hamburg to develop a generic technical infrastructure for the storage and the retrieval of digital content in form of a cloud solution, which will be available to all institutions, publicly and privately funded. The advantage of this central service is that not each cultural institution has to set up a complex IT system by its own. Digital cultural content could be interlinked within the cloud, and in addition, it will be cost-effective for the participating institutions. New user-oriented applications can easily be developed, and e-culture cloud will facilitate the digital access to cultural content and open up new possibilities for cultural mediation in schools, in universities, social institutions, and tourism. To show you now one example, it is now the project of e-photo, and hopefully it is now working. The video should be now inside, and fine, thank you.
ePhoto Hamburg provides a novel kind of access to our city's history. over 1 million historic photographs, tucked away in various archives across Hamburg, are waiting to be discovered. ePhoto takes these shots right back to where they were taken, to the backyards and street fronts, to the piazzas, the alleys and the boulevards. Explore the history of our town and its people. Hold on to memories and let them be part of history.
Und erst da kam heraus, dass 1935 durch besondere Umstände, dass mein Adoptivvater Jude war.
Let yesterday and today blend into one another. And share with your friends what Hamburg means to you today. ePhoto, the shared memory of our city.
So this is one of more than 60 examples which we could show you where we wanted to explain you our approach and how to bring cultural activities now to people, and now that was the archive aspects. The reason why we are now here in Barcelona is that we have taken the initiative to collect, I would say, the interest of other cities to build a network where we can also exchange cultural cloud infrastructure and also with other cities. Our intention is that we can approach people much easier with new technologies in cultural activities, but also to bring, for example, cultural content of other cities in Hamburg school classes, and also Hamburg cultural content in other school classes. This is one example. That's the reason why we are here. And if you have interest to join our initiative, then please contact us, and you will get some more information how you could be involved in such a network. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we move to Mr. ChunLan Jiang, who is going to present a platform for education in China that he has developed for young children, right?
Yeah.
Please.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. My title is Our Education. So I want to introduce the Hebei province, and the Hebei of China is the big province, both and the population and education. It covers the area is 187,000 square kilometers. There are 9.62 million enrolled primary and secondary school students among the 74 million, the total population in Hebei. So Hebei is, yes. Yes. So Hebei is a big education province, but not a strong education province. Up to the 2015, there are still 3 million people living below poverty line, especially in the mountain areas of Yanshan and Taihang. We are 22 counties of the exceptional poverty and nearly 1 million extremely poor people. The government of Hebei province hope to use education, the impact and intergeneration and transmission of the poverty by the providing each poor family with the quality education, which is taken as the anti-poverty strategy according to the series of the relevant policies have been issued. One, to cultivate a new type of the professional farmer in the vocational schools. Two, yes. no, is established one-to-one paired hybrid system between the quality education resources at home and abroad, and primary and secondary schools in poverty-stricken mountain area to adopt and latest digital technology to education. Making the case both in the urban and the mountain area could equality enjoy the good education resources. Yes. In 2012, Hebei Digital Education Collaborative Innovation Center was established with support from the Hebei province government, and the consortium formed by the Hebei Normal University and Hebei Publishing and Media Group Company Limited, Hebei branch of the China Mobile Group, Hebei Institute of Education Science, and American Ones International Company Limited made a joint effort to firstly implement poverty alleviation programs through education in our 30 primary and secondary schools on our province. Totally, and more than 300,000 people has benefited from this program. In 2015, and the project proposal by Hebei Digital Education Collaborative Innovation Center, Smart City, and Educational Equality won big praise and the 5th Smart City Apple World Congress. Yes. In 2016, the project developers will, thanks to 2016 International Plus, the digital education scale contest and held in Hebei. The number of the primary and secondary schools using digital resource interactive platform has grown from 30 to 116, and the number of the students and teachers benefit from the project has increased from 115,348 to 435,136. Hebei province has been set as the model area of smart education modern by the Ministry of Education of China. Educational equality is more than the equity in the transmission of knowledge to the kids. What matters even more is to input the kids both in the urban and the rural area to share the horizons, experience, understanding, insight, and knowledge, what keep up with the changing society. Only this way can we realize that education equality in the real sense and enable urban and rural kids to be in quality competitively. To make it possible, we must introduce the virtual reality and augmented reality technology to our digital education to empower the kids in the poverty-stricken mountain area to experience the fruit of the modern civilization driven by contemporary science and technology development. What's VR and AR? VR needs non-transparent glasses to finish the immersive experience in the virtual world. AR different VR. The need is semi-transparent glasses to see real world and superimposed information such as text, image, and video. Yes. Text, image, video, and audio is superimposed onto the students' vision and real environment to empower students to experience and textbooks contents from multiple dimension and enable its tangible knowledge, which is only available by the internet search, to be directly planted into the classroom by means of technology. This video and the teacher and describing and demonstrated by means of AR technology. Yeah. The resulting laboratory equipment, AR technology, and combined enable students have the most straightforward experience of the experimental processes result that help to overcome VR's weakness. It's only a learning observation of the presented efforts and these are learning participations and interaction. Unfortunately, this experiment shows to be interference phenomena based on the principle of the micro-interference and equipment. This system shows geography information and tells yes. Sentence. Yes. Oh, okay. And the above my machine example is only our tiny attempts. We hope that these efforts help regulate potential area technology in the future education and promotion progress and global education. My talk is over. Thank you.
Thank you. It's time now for questions. I think they're coming on an iPad, which is a new way for me to have questions.
It's a little view. The people want to do more in the micros of the corners. Okay.
Yeah, I think one topic that I see from a couple of questions I've here, which is of our interest for at least for those people, is about education. Now, what is the role of education in building more inclusive cities? I think it can be for all of you, because in reality, although you covered in different ways, people are at the base of it. So maybe we can start build the role of education in building more inclusive cities. Is somebody want to start in answering that? You need a microphone. Yes, please. Yes.
Well, that's a very nice question. We are thinking about in our plan that, well, one of the initiatives we've got there is the connectivity for public services. This public connectivity is through infrastructure with the IoT infrastructure. We've got the plan that we will make a deployment of 95 points of internet Wi-Fi zones in the 95 delegations. But we are not giving them only Wi-Fi to get to Facebook and whatever. We want to give proper education applications. We are working with Microsoft in this. We've got a plan to make a virtual university and to deploy some educational systems there. But yeah, in the Lab Leon, there are lots of people that work in social initiatives, but there are not a system that we can see all the efforts that are playing in Leon. So we are working on an entrepreneurship system, Emprende Leon it's called. And with this system, we are going to see all the efforts from the universities, but applied in a specific and a microsystem location. Of course, in this the 8 octagons of poverty. We know that we have to engage the citizens. We don't have, as governments, we have not all the answers for this. So we've got to get to hear all the citizens. So that's something we can say about in
Thank you,
Leon,
Enrique.
in the case of Leon.
You want to say something?
Yes, I would also agree absolutely with.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree with the person who has asked the question that it's extremely important for inclusive cities to concentrate on educational aspects. And you're fully right. First of all, we are talking about infrastructure. That is correct. If you have no infrastructure, you can't work really in digital access to these people. But the second question, and there has not yet been done too much effort, is to have the right applications, to have the right content. You can't translate just normal lectures into digital in the digital way. Just you should not film it and bring it to people. So you need different and new concepts, and there is something new, and it should be educated. And there it would be worthwhile to have an exchange of expertise here and there. I was very impressed with the Chinese example here. I really tell you, I would like to know much more about you. But as we offered here, we have all different kinds of educational aspects. We have this cultural aspect, as I wanted to explain, but also we should think about the content which you find in universities, and therefore we are talking here also about platforms where you need to bring new kinds of applications like VR, augmented reality, and also other aspects, and there you need more exchange of experience.
I would like to ask a question about that to Mr. Yang ChunLan. Oh, we got our speaker now. Welcome. Sorry, we are a little bit late now, but can you tell a little bit? Your example was really very, very, very interesting. Can you tell about the infrastructure, so the connection, the speed of connection between the schools and your applications? Did I explain my question? How do you connect your students, which are in the mountains, to your applications? I'm sorry.
Can I also make a few minutes? Thank you.
移动是怎么说？就是他们有肯定安排前南目标也没咋办有时前南目标也是有时前南目标 connection the urban and the rural is
yeah
yes
okay
前南目标 okay,
thank you so much.
Urban and rural, yes.
Okay. So welcome. I'm sorry you are very late. You have 9 minutes more if you want. Perfect. Israel Zinger is from Israel, from the city of Ramat Gan. He's the mayor, and he's going to talk also about education. Okay. And maybe you can answer at the same time to the question, which was how education is inclusive of people. So go on the stage, please. Sorry, but we must be dynamic in life. Your presentation should be here. It's close that.
Thank you very much.
No problem. This one. Can you upload the first presentation from Mr. Singer? How it is? Start talking. We are going to put it. Maybe you can introduce yourself. Okay, here it is.
Thank you, Mr. Giorgio. I hope it's last but not least, I hope.
Just in time.
Yes. As I say, I'm the mayor, as you said, I'm mayor of Ramat Gan in Israel. And I would like to tell you in short what makes my city, Ramat Gan in Israel, a smart city in education. And I start with a personal short story. In the high school I went to, I had a very good friend. His name was Eli. We shared all our dreams and secrets, and my friend dreamed to be a very famous scientist. So he asked his parents to buy him a microscope which will help him in this. His parents were poor like mine, but they made a great effort and bought him a very amazing microscope. And we looked every day at it. He didn't even dare to open it. One day in the class, the teacher turned to my friend, who is not such a good student, and told him, "You better leave school, find yourself a job, nothing will come out of you." Silence in the classroom. And I remember that same night, Ellie and me went to one of the sand hills around in the city, and there Ellie buried his microscope, which he never even managed to open. And if I still think after 50 years, I can still hear the sound of the sand falling on it and covering up the dreams of my friend. You know, today when I think the teacher was not mean, she taught at a time when the system of education classified pupils into categories: excellent, mediocre, losers. The teachers couldn't see the needs of the pupils, and the principal didn't know anything what any pupil wanted. I know because I was a principal of a high school myself. I didn't have LMS, CRM, you know, other new things. I only had a class journal and, of course, love for my students. But I didn't have anyone to consult with. When I became mayor, I remember those nights, which I maybe even miss today, and I knew that even today, my principals in the schools in the city are awake at night trying to solve the same problems which I tried to solve before. And I thought to myself, how could it be that after so many years, we haven't found a tool which will help the principal to get the right decision? You know, Israel is considered a startup nation. We have more startups per capita than any other country. Our high-tech experts find bright solutions to hundreds of problems. You know, sometimes they even invent problems just in order to solve them. So I sat with my team and thought, how is it possible to bring the work methodology of high-tech in the field of education? We asked the teacher, what is the central problem? And everyone gave the same answer. We have enormous data, but we can't use it well. Data about grades in one system, data about project in other system, teacher evaluation in a third system, and so on. So there is information, but not concentrated in one central place. That's the problem. So it turns out that the solutions already exist in the high-tech world. They call it the BI, business intelligence. So we needed to connect this high-tech methodology and bring it to the educational world. So we decided to create a joint database for all the problems in schools. And we knew that if we could recognize patterns and analyze them, you know, like Waze or Google do, we could give exact information and good solutions for our principals. Now, it looks like the dashboard. This is what Dalia, the head of the education department in Ramat Gan, when she opens her computer every morning, sees. The pointers present in a very simple way, as you see, all the projects in all the schools in the city, all the projects. There is everything, and the only thing needed. So what we did, we stretched the limits of the CRM in favor of pedagogy, and we linked the system to the municipal management system. You know, even me, as an old school physicist, can, after a few minutes only, in front of the system, understand and use it. But we didn't settle for it. We wanted to encourage the educators to share and consult, to start thinking like startupists. So we turned again to the high-tech world, and this time, look at this 3D model of a space, which will open in 2 weeks. It is equipped with the latest high-tech technology. This space attracts teachers from around the city, physically, of course, and virtually. They meet there and consult with each other, which I didn't have the chance, as I said before. We call it the hub. In our vision, we will learn using the hub from the experience of a high school principal in Barcelona or a teacher in Amsterdam, and they will learn from us. We all, as you know, share the same problems. We all act in complex and conservative educational systems. So in this way, we turned Ramat Gan into a smart city in education. But now, before end, let me surprise you. I believe that just as we brought the high-tech concept to education, we can bring the methodologies of education into high-tech, and I call it the human tech. What did we do? We had to implement, in short, a new dynamic CRM system in the municipality. As you all know, it's very complicated, and it takes years to do in every organization. What did I do? I called the teachers because they are the experts. Remember, everything starts from education. They are the experts. They know how to explain, how to reach each pupil. In the same way, with infinite patience, we went through each employee, each department, answered each question, and at last, we succeeded without any shock. We did it in a few months, which usually takes 2 years at least. As a mayor, of course, I am very proud of it. So just as we brought the high-tech methodology in the educational world, we brought the methodology from the educational world to the high-tech world. And so we reached a unique combination, smart city in education and education in smart city. And now before I finish, let's go again to my friend Eli and the microscope. Many years later, I returned to my high school. I was a teacher and then a principal. You know, through all these years, I remember my friend Eli and his microscope. And you know, when I think of it now, maybe that particular event I told you made me become a teacher, a principal, and a mayor. And I say that because when I enter my room and sat on the mayor's chair and thought of my family, of Eli, I swore in my heart there will be never in my city even one pupil who will be forced to go to the hills and bury his microscope in tears. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is my smart city and education, Ramat Gan. Thank you very much.
So, thank you. I'm afraid that we have to finish the session. So as you see, it has been a little bit dynamic, not exactly in the real sequence we were expecting that. I hope it was interesting for you, but anyway, you know the faces of the people there. Grab them, and if you have more questions, please feel free to stop them while they go out. Sorry for that, but I did my best to arrange everything. Thank you.